So today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite four-letter words as it pertains to today's challenge on your 12-day fertility challenge. And before we jump into that, I wanted to share an experience that I had when I attended a workshop leadership training. And at that training, one of the trainers and I became friends, and we were having a conversation about her best friend who had made some changes in her life and in her business, which was a coaching business, and that she had called her approach to life a retreat-like lifestyle. And when my friend used those words, it really hit me because I thought, oh my goodness, one, that sounds amazing. Two, how does she do that? And how does she create her life to feel like a retreat? And three, what would it take for me to feel like that about my own life? And it got me really thinking. And so I was asking, well, how does she actually do that? And my friend said, her friend, she only does something if it feels good. And I thought, wow, this woman must have an incredible sense of self-value and a great ability to give herself permission to simply do what feels good. And because it sort of hit me on this chord, I decided to integrate that to the extent that I could and wanted to. And I felt like by having this example of this person who had created her entire business around her lifestyle choices, which is really cool. So she was living in the mountains in a town in Western Canada, raising her kids, and doing the kind of work with the kind of people that she loved to do because it simply felt good, and she lived where she felt good. And so, wow, like sometimes someone standing up and giving herself permission to behave that way calls us out and says, okay, what do I need to give myself permission for? And I started wondering, why am I pushing so hard in my work, in my life, getting goals achieved? Why am I pulling so much? Can I live a different way with my own life and have it feel really good? In fact, where I was at in that point in my life, transforming my practice, it didn't always feel good. And I thought, okay, let's see where we can have it feel good. And so just tiny bit by tiny bit, I began to explore one of my new favorite words, which I call ease. So ease is that feeling of, okay, we're no longer resisting what is. We're not pushing something forward, and we're not pulling away, or there's really no force to the change that's happening or the experience that you're in. It's a way of being present, and it's a way of allowing. And when we talk about fertility, one, if you're living with more ease and less stress, then your hormones will be so much more balanced. For example, when you're more stressed, you will have a lowered amount of progesterone being produced. Now, you know that progesterone is the pregnancy hormone. It's the early pregnancy conditions that are, especially in the uterine lining, in the womb, that are under the influence of progesterone. And so once conception has happened, you want to have a warm and welcoming environment for that embryo to have implantation happen, and that's under the influence of progesterone. Now, progesterone and our stress hormone cortisol have the same precursor molecule in the body. And so if you're in high stress mode and you have to keep up and keep surviving that stress, your body's going to make more cortisol to get you through that stressful time. A lot of the stress that we're under in modern life is chronic and continuous. We work hard, we play hard, we don't get enough sleep, we worry, we agonize, we have guilt, we criticize ourselves. There are many sources for a higher cortisol level. And meanwhile, if you're running on that kind of sympathetic nervous system overdrive, or red alert mode, I call it, then you're pulling that cortisol away and you're not having enough progesterone necessarily to create the optimal conditions for your pregnancy. And it doesn't feel good either. So where can you, for today's challenge, introduce ease? Can you introduce a little bit of ease today and share about it? So this can be as simple as, okay, looking at your life and saying, where am I resisting? Where am I pushing? Where am I struggling, fighting, or forcing? And where can I accept, allow, and receive? Because those are the opposite ends of the spectrum, the yang and the yin. And to be at your optimally fertile state, we want you in the yin, which is receptive. It's the feminine. It's the ease. And if you struggle with creating ease or allowing ease into your life, then look at why that is. Most of the time, if you're like me and a part of you said, "Oh my goodness, how like who does that woman think she is that she can just feel good all the time?" Then, okay, doesn't that call you out and say, "Wow, why would I resist someone else feeling good and creating a life of her choice?" Well, it's only reflecting how I felt, at least a part of me felt about my own self or my own life. And it's kind of like whatever we react to in someone else, we're really reflecting ourselves and an opportunity to learn either what we're not liking about ourselves, where we need to evolve next, where we want to move to next. There's nothing wrong with having those mixed thoughts, feeling inspired, and also even a little bit jealous. Jealousy just shows you where you want to move next, and you need to give yourself permission to do that. In a lot of cases, I am the only one holding myself back. I'm the only one getting in my road to creating and living the life that I want to, that feels good for me. It feels good to me to work. It feels good to me to connect with people in a meaningful way, to serve, to see transformation happening. And at the same time, there's a limit to that, and I noticed some opportunities where I could create ease in my life. One of them for me was to explore the life-changing power of tidying up. So if you've read that book, you may be inspired by that concept already. And so turning into someone who can be a little bit more organized and a little bit more focused on the home organization, which was never my interest or goal at all. But I found that a very few simple changes setting up in my house created more ease in my lifestyle. And that meant less stress for me and more enjoyment and more pleasure. And when we're looking at fertility, we want to ease ourselves through life as much as possible because we've got to choose our battles. If there's a real struggle and a real challenge and something comes up, you want to have your reserves available for that problem. Day-to-day life, wherever possible, create ease. Streamline your life if you need to remove clutter, if you need to reduce your schedule, if you need to have help with certain tasks that really aren't your thing, that aren't your passion, that drain your energy. How are you going to create ease in your life starting right now? Post the simplest change or the biggest one, whatever you're feeling inspired to do, or whatever you have already done to create that sense of ease, and share it with the group because I'm sure your experience will inspire others too. Thank you so much for sharing, and enjoy an easy day. Talk to you soon.